Hello and welcome to Our Time.
Great to have your company once again. Janice, before we go any further, I've got a thorn in my side.
Oh, not again.
Do you know, I've had constant phone calls at home at all sorts of times, day and night, about the fact that an insurance claim is about to be settled from the accident that I had.
That you haven't had.
That I've never had. And something similar happened to you, didn't it?
Well, similar. No, I had a letter saying that sorry to hear that your husband's passed away. And I went, I think he's all right. The last time I saw him.
This morning.
It was all right.
Yes.
But it happened twice in 1 week.
From a major bank, wasn't it?
Yes, we won't
Now that's
say
a bit of
who.
a worry. So if you're getting any weird sort of phone calls or letters in the post, just make sure that you don't jump, unless of course you'd like to quickly nip into the bank and draw out all your funds. Or in my case, lie about an accident I never had.
No.
But on a brighter note, we have a great program, musical it is.
It is musical today.
And to meet some important people, we're also going to meet Gary Dickinson from Family Motors and...
Alwyn Kidney is from SA... how would you pronounce it?
The Band of the South Australian Police. Yes, or that SA Pol.
That's
South Australian Police. They can't spell the rest of it. But first, we'd love you to meet Jonathan Bly, who's from the Festival Statesman, a teacher extraordinaire. I've known him for a long time and he's done some brilliant stuff with teenagers.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Janice. Hi, Malcolm.
Lovely
Good to see you again.
Here.
Thank you.
But we particularly wanted you on because the Festival Statesman is a group of young men who have competed nationally.
That's right, yep.
As, I suppose for want of a better expression, a barbershop choir.
Well, that's kind of where it started as a
That's
barbershop
not really
group.
what it is.
But they're called the Festival Statesman Chorus, not a choir even.
Yeah, because they don't know the verse.
Because choir's not so cool. Chorus is more interesting.
It sounds actually quite a lot bigger when you say
Oh, it
chorus.
is. It's huge.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely huge, isn't it? No, seriously, it is.
How many?
Well, we've got about 30 guys on the books, but within that there are a bunch of smaller groups. So the smallest we can go to is a quartet.
Right.
But we've had some on the show.
We have. No, I do remember them coming on.
So they've been a group to watch, but just tell me, first of all, about you. Where did you get an interest in singing?
Oh, gosh. Well, I've sort of grown up with music. My mum was an opera singer as well as a nurse, and my dad was a very passionate amateur musician. His father was one of the first piano players to record on the ABC, National Radio, back in the day when he was in Sydney.
Brilliant.
So music's kind of been in the blood. My parents never really pressured me to do music. I've just always enjoyed it and pursued it. And found myself at the Adelaide University doing a Bachelor of Music with flute performance and conducting. But I've always
flute performance.
That's right, yes.
Well, beautiful instrument, the flute.
But what a wise choice. Because you just pick up the little box and walk out. If you're a piano player, it's very hard to lob that around, and a drum kit.
I played timpani for a little bit too, but it's just mallets. But
Sounds interesting.
So the singing side of things for you?
So I sang at school, all the way through school. I sang in St Peter's Cathedral Choir in Adelaide, and then I was fortunate enough to win a 2-year scholarship which sent me over to England for 2 years to Exeter Cathedral. So I sang there, and then after that scholarship had finished, I then went to Sydney and sang in St Andrew's Cathedral School until my voice changed. Moved back to Adelaide because I was homesick.
Oh, you were a boy soprano up until then, were
That's
you?
right, yes.
And
now I sing bass.
Oh, well, you can do that in your voice.
Here's a bit of interesting advice or nonsense. Did your voice break, or did you just go down from a boy soprano and
I sang through my change, so I sang through it.
So you never went squeaky like a lot of people do?
A little, but I was able to manage it. And so I think there was maybe a period of maybe 12 months that I didn't sing so much.
To me, that's a really good sign of someone who has a good voice, because when their voice changes, well, because you're singing all the time, it's not a muscle, but it's like a muscle that you're working. So
well, it is a muscle.
It just
lots
grows.
of little muscles.
Yeah.
Anyway, get back to you.
So I finished up in Sydney, moved back to Adelaide, finished off at Marrickville High School as a special interest music student there, and then went to university, and then since then done a graduate diploma in education for myself.
Yes, well, you became a teacher, and you really started at a local high school here, this movement that, I suppose, was it boys and girls, or was it just a male choir?
I started with just guys, and then word spread in the school. It was Charles Campbell College, which was had a really, really strong performing arts program. So I did my teaching prac there, and then they hired me to work with the singers, and then I became one of the senior music teachers and teaching music up to year 12 and all interesting things like that.
Yeah.
So, but
I've known Jonathan for quite a while, and just pulling this together that he's actually managed to pull together is fantastic, really.
But you were saying too, sorry to interrupt you, but the name, the Statesman, has been around for some time.
Oh yes, it has. What's the story with that?
So the Festival Statesman was a chorus of older men formed a while ago. I'm not even sure quite how long they've been around.
Yeah.
But when I started working with these young guys, I was trying to find, okay, what's a style of music that's accessible? And I came across the barbershop style, and it truly is really accessible. It's very that people just share the resources quite openly, and so a couple of the leaders in that chorus sort of gave me some advice, shared resources, and so I asked them if I could adopt the name Festival Statesman and sort of carry on their tradition that they'd started so many years ago, and they were really flattered. So that's why we have the name.
They actually started in the 80s from memory. And they were really a volunteer choir of older men who just enjoyed singing.
Yeah.
And just sort of came together. It was really run a bit like a military operation. Well, you must have had some dealings, is that not true?
Look, I was just happy to watch. I wasn't too involved in the military side.
But it
of
was
things,
interesting how they, because some of them had come from the Second World War, and they were used to that sort of, well, this man's in charge, so we'll just wait to be told what to do. And so on. But it was great. It worked for them.
Yeah, and I think there is, particularly in Adelaide, we've got quite a large number of choirs and community singers in Adelaide. And that older generation of leadership, you see that sort of very autocratic, I'm the boss and you do as I say.
I wish I had that command of the language. See, autocratic, I wouldn't have thought that. I just gave someone
I might have to Google that later.
Yeah. So let's talk about the group, because they've just released this little CD.
Which we're very proud of, actually.
With a film clip.
Yes,
as well, which half of which was shot at my theatre.
Did you?
That's how I know so much
There
about
you
these guys.
Yeah, so we've done 2 CDs. This is our second one. The first one was a bit of a play in the sandpit just to see how we would go. But one of the things we pride ourselves on is actually doing as much of the production work, everything from arrangements to the singing, the conducting, the production side of the CD, we all try to do in-house. So the chorus really exists as a platform for young guys to explore the performing arts through media or singing or composition.
And some great other shows have come from that. This is the album that we're talking about. And what's on it? Just name a few of the songs that are on it.
Sure, so there's some Ben Folds.
Slightly around that way so you can see it a little bit. Oh, knocking it over at the same time. Oh.
So there's a couple of some Ben Folds songs, Still Fighting It, Army, Hanson, there's Michael Jackson, a cover on there. Probably our feature track on there is Get Back, which is the Beatles song, but it's arranged by a friend of ours in America, Nick Gerard. And that's the track that we chose to do our very first music video with, which was the first section of that was shot in Malcolm's studio at his theatre. So it's all a cappella, contemporary a cappella, sort of the American college, so with a beatbox and a feature a soloist and tight harmonies. We also sing classical music and folk music as well as the barbershop. So there's quite a spectrum of repertoire that we do, but this is exclusively that American college a cappella.
And Josh Belperio, who was on the show, he's also involved in you.
Josh is one of our resident composers.
Yes.
Oh,
so
is he?
See, it's
that young man that played the piano beautifully.
Yes.
It's very clever.
Well, I wouldn't say beautifully. Actually, Josh is. We've got an interesting scene here in South Australia that people watching us in the other states wouldn't really know about, but there is a very strong community feel for performers and performances, and in a funny sort of way we all know each other, and it's good because we can all sort of network together, and that's how it really should be.
That's
and
really
develop
important.
the skills that everybody has and just find where they can all take, particularly the young people, whether it be young guys or girls.
Absolutely.
But they all the respect that you have amongst the group and that I've seen amongst the group, that's a really special thing. I know that's hard to comment on, but I can say that.
Sure. So I think I've worked with a large range of people, I guess. So being a secondary school teacher in music, but also working with the Tutti Ensemble, another prominent Adelaide arts organisation for people with disability. I've worked with the Adelaide Liedertafel, which is sort of German, first generation German. So you talked about that military experience that was more similar to that.
What's the other word?
Autocratic.
Very much.
So I'm
going to write that in a book.
So it's, you know, working with guys, I mean, it's the way I've modelled the leadership style of this organisation, the Festival of Statesmen, is very much peer-led. So I don't claim to be the expert. I just like to facilitate and encourage and foster their skill sets. So the president is a member, Josh is a composer who's been on your show, and so we all it's just really, they come in, they have a particular skill set, I see that potential, foster it, encourage it, and we see how far it can go.
It's fantastic, and we'll show you a little bit of that clip at the end of the show with any luck that goes with the CD. And where's this available?
We had our album launch a little while ago, but we're releasing it online, hopefully in...
Well, we'll leave some information on our Facebook page, so if anyone would like to get that, that's where you'll find the information.
Good luck with that, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonathan.
Fantastic.
It's been great to have you on our program.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Welcome back.
Yes.
We said that together. We just
We
didn't
know.
have a little
We
doodah.
just do.
Look, it's of great pleasure that we have the police.
All of them?
Well, one representing a very special branch of the police is probably the better way.
Alwyn, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
But he's not just a policeman. He actually is a
Are you insinuating that policemen are just policemen?
No, how else can I put that? Okay, now you've stopped me in my tracks.
Sorry. No, but you are the officer in charge of the South Australian Police Band, or the Band of the SA Police. Which way does it say, Alwyn?
The Band of the South Australia Police.
Who just recently performed for the Queen.
Correct, yes.
Tell us about it.
We were very lucky to be the Australian representatives over in London for her 90th birthday, back in May now, and it was just a fantastic experience to be mixing with a lot of people from the Commonwealth, as well as people from within the UK, bands brought from all over the world. It was just a great experience for us all.
Very special. How long did you have to perform? Was it sort of over with quickly, or did you do a selection of...
For us, by ourselves, we were the only Australian band there to do a solo act, but our solo act was part of a longer Commonwealth presentation that went for about 10 minutes, but that included the Australians, the Fijians, the New Zealanders and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We did 2 minutes, and I think everyone did about 2 minutes, and then we combined for a finale that stretched it to 10.
And it would have been quite an operation, I imagine.
It was.
How long did you get to rehearse?
We had booked for 2 rehearsals, and one day got rained out. It was just your typical English summer's day, really.
Yeah.
But it was torrential.
Moist. Moist. Just a moist day. And did the rehearsal go well?
The one we had went well. Then we did a dress rehearsal, and that was the interesting performance. That was the one that didn't make it onto TV, but there was carnage. It was... because it was predominantly a horse show. The Windsor Horse Show ran at the same time.
No way to speak of Camilla. Sorry.
Stop it.
It ran at the same time. So, and the Queen's love of animals generally, but particularly horses.
It's no way to speak of Camilla.
Sorry. It was a very, very strong focus on horses through the show. So there were something like 900 horses in the actual Queen's event, and about 4,000 in the Windsor Horse Show over 4 days.
Isn't that incredible?
Horses everywhere.
Wow.
And the remnants of horses everywhere.
But you know, but that is an interesting thing that tradition has lived on. You just wonder whether that will live on past her reign, I guess.
The horses.
The interest in the horses.
I think the whole royal family are right into it, and they've maintained a lot of their mounted regiments.
Speak with Camilla.
Oh, you
Sorry.
behave yourself. Stop it.
Sorry, I know, it's a hackneyed joke.
They still have the horse guards and the lifeguards that are very active in the pomp and ceremony of the changing of the guard. So I think while that's going on, that draws millions of people to London just for that.
It is special. I'm sure you've seen it too. And I've stood there and watched all that, and it's almost like a walking back in time thing, isn't it? It is very special, and they do it so well.
Yep.
But speaking about what you do so well, tell us how many groups there are within the band, because you do such a variety now of music. First of all, let's just go back to the beginning. It began because the band began...
Back in 1838, the band was commenced with foot constables who played a musical instrument, and there were 14 of them, and they just formed a band. And once that was formed, they actually marched the pay parade down North Terrace for all the police to get their pay. And that remained so for probably 100 years. It wasn't until in the middle of last century that stopped. So that was initially that, and to entertain the people of Adelaide in the rotunda.
So did you have the rooms then that you've got now? Rehearsal rooms?
I don't know where they rehearsed.
Okay.
I think we've got a guy who's still in the band from then, and he might be able to answer that question for you.
Where do you rehearse
18
now?
what?
1838.
If you just mention his name so we all know who this guy is that's lived so long. But Al...
Where do you rehearse now?
Yes.
We're right next door to the stables at Theberton Barracks.
Which is right next door to...
Which is right next door to the Menage, actually.
The old Adelaide Jail.
The old Adelaide Jail, down Jail Road,
Yeah.
right on the corner.
Oh, okay.
Down Jail Road. You've never been?
Yes. But for different reasons.
But when you go down there, it's brilliant, because when the band are rehearsing, there's sort of the roar of music that comes from that type of band when you're in full sail, when you're rehearsing everybody. And how many are there altogether?
It's a 33-piece complement, and within that, as you were saying before, we've got 14 smaller groups. So the full 33-piece band down to a duet, and just about everything in between. We've got several.
Who's the duet?
They're called Two Dads because it's David Burville Holmes and Paul Simpson Smith.
Right.
So they have a little duet thing that
Holmes
they go.
and Smith.
How good is that?
Yeah, and then we have an array of quartets and quintets, a Dixie band that are very popular that you've seen.
Certainly have.
A half-size band which is called Off the Cuff.
Yes.
Another little lounge band called Kind of Blue. The full stage band, which is about 22 members, and then the full complement of 33 in the concert band.
So where do you play mostly, apart from the practice rooms?
Most of our work is done in schools. Actually, we have two small 8-piece bands that we call school beat bands, and they visit primary schools. We do over 100 of those every year, and I was asked at the stats, and it was just in the last 5 years we've done over 100 every year for the last 5, probably more than that. And they're over the years where we've had a couple of tattoos to go to, so we sustain those numbers even in a tattoo year.
But the real reason for that, though, is to connect with the school-age kids, isn't it?
Connect with them, create relationships with young kids. Not always is their relationship with the police positive, and we try to make that so. Primarily to deliver safety messages for the kids, and sadly, the one that seems to be coming to the fore at the moment is the bullying and online bullying, and that seems to be the one we ask the schools, what is it that the kids need most? That's the one. So we try and give them initiatives to try and avoid bullying, don't put themselves in a position to be victims, and what they should do.
Well, we were just talking about that at the beginning of the program, the fact that it's so easy to be conned as well as bullied, conned by strangers ringing you and
The scams that go on these
that
days.
go to people in our age group. That's it's sort of it's a form of bullying, because particularly if you're not completely up with all the internet issues and so on, and people are banging at you.
Especially the elderly people, they have no idea. They take it as
for real.
For real.
Because fundamentally we're an honest nation, and we talk the truth to each other. So when somebody's blatantly lying to you, or in the case of kids bullying each other, it's a similar sort of thing, really. Anyway.
We do a lot of work, the Dixie Band particularly, do a lot of work in old folks' homes, rest haven, those sorts of places, and they have those safety message. The brief of the band actually is every time we go out and do a performance, regardless of where or when, there is a safety message attached to that, and we try and target wherever we are, we target the message. We're obviously not going to talk about bullying in the schoolyard to an old folks' home.
Of course not.
No.
No.
So
No, but in a way, there's similar sort of parallel things that are affecting just people generally. You do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Over the many, many years I've been involved, either programming different shows that you've been involved with and just watching you perform. And the general public here in South Australia genuinely all come out to see the police band, the band of the SA Police, wherever they're playing. So if you hear of them playing anywhere near you, please make the effort, if you're in South Australia, to go see them. Do you travel nationally much?
not a lot within South Australia, within Australia, not a lot of it. There is a little bit of an issue because everyone else has a police force. Many of those police forces have pipes and drums. New South Wales has a band. So it's a bit of, we don't want to go and play in their backyard because it's really their backyard.
Well, that's it.
So there is that. There is some professional courtesy.
Did you play in the tattoo that was in Melbourne?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and you've been to Edinburgh
Yes.
to play for that. Those experiences must have been, I mean, like playing for the Queen, there must have been a great camaraderie between all the musicians playing and performers.
There is sometimes too much camaraderie, particularly in Scotland, in the Whiskey Trail, but the show goes on
Up
regardless.
and down the mile, up and down from one castle to the next, so I can imagine exactly what you mean. Alan, it's great to have been able to chat with you again about the band of this, such a mouthful, them.
The police band of South Australia.
Band of the SA Police. Keep making music for a long time to come, I hope. And I hope the support of government is still there to make sure that happens.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in a minute.
We will.
We just have a short break.
Stay with us.
People to help pay for this program. We'll see you in a minute.
Talking once again with Gary Tank Dickerson. Gary, welcome back. Last time we spoke, we sort of broached the topic of how you find a good car. Now, I know you've been doing your research and you've got some more answers for us. How do you find a good salesman?
A good salesman basically will let you have a bit of a look around and then just keep asking questions, because a lot of people are a bit afraid to say, I need finance, so it's up to the salesman to get them talking and find out what they actually come in for.
And if you look at the salesman and don't like the look of him, or I suppose her, move on.
Well, if you can't trust a salesman, keep going till you can find one you can trust.
How do you know you can trust them? Because some salesmen are very good. And you think, I can trust you.
Yeah, I don't know. Just honestly, I dare say most of the time, you know, you can just tell if a person's honest or not. There's a lot of people out there that are just trained to take you to their team leader and then they stitch you up.
Take me to your leader.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I suppose the bad old days of car yards, they're gone now, aren't they?
I hope so.
Well, yes, you wouldn't be here, would you?
No, that's right.
You'd be back pounding the hammer.
Yeah, I dare say.
Finance is something we haven't spoken about. Coming along in a future segment, I think we might talk about finance, because there are probably some traps there for the unwary as well.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, finance is what a lot of people come to my car yard for, and that's what we supply them with, so yeah.
All right, well, we'll talk about that in the near future, and back after the break with more of Our Time.
Thank you, Ken. That was we've had a very musical program today, which was great.
It was.
Well, we like music
No,
for that
I was
program.
just thinking, though, we should get these guys together, because with all of those great male voices that you've got, and with all the blowers and the bangers that you've got, it would be a good sort
I
of
think they're
sound
called
together.
musicians more than blowers.
Oh,
and
okay.
bangers.
Well, you know, bangers and blowers. You might like to find out more about these guys and other people that are on our program by joining us on Facebook. And we'd love you to friend us and share the information that we've put on Facebook so that more people can watch this Amazing program.
And we're on YouTube too, if you've missed a program.
Yes, if you have. But even if you haven't missed a program, sometimes it's actually quite fun to go back and see who's been on the program. Some of them may be your friends right around Australia. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Our Time. And until next time we get to see you.
Yes, take care of yourself.
And keep yourself nice till then.
Bye.
Bye.